Christmas truce. Did soldiers really play soccer in WWI war? Picture this. It's Christmas Eve, 1914. The Western Front stretches across Belgium and France like a festering wound, 425 miles of hell carved into European soil. Men crouch in frozen trenches filled with mud, rats, and the stench of death. Machine guns are loaded. Artillery stands ready. And then, something impossible happens. Soldiers start singing. Not battle cries or patriotic anthems, but Christmas carols. German voices drift across no man's land with Stille Nacht. British troops respond with Silent Night. Within hours, enemies who'd been trying to kill each other are shaking hands, sharing cigarettes, and, according to numerous accounts, kicking around makeshift soccer balls in the crater-pocked wasteland between trenches. But here's the question that's haunted historians for over a century. Did this actually happen, or is it the most beautiful lie ever told about war? The silence that shook the world. The Christmas truce wasn't supposed to be possible. By December 1914, the Great War had already consumed hundreds of thousands of lives. The conflict that politicians promised would be over by Christmas had devolved into a nightmarish stalemate. Soldiers on both sides were exhausted, disillusioned, and utterly traumatized by the industrial-scale killing that modern warfare had unleashed. Then came December 24th. German soldiers began decorating their trenches with candles and small Christmas trees, Tannenbaums sent from home. They placed them along the parapets, their soft glow visible to shocked British and French troops across no man's land. What happened next depends on whose account you read, but the pattern was remarkably consistent across miles of front line. Singing led to shouting. Shouting led to tentative waves. Waves led to something unprecedented. Soldiers climbing out of their trenches, walking into the middle ground, and meeting their enemies face to face as men, not monsters. But could mortal enemies really have played soccer on a battlefield littered with corpses? The evidence. Separating legend from truth. Here's where it gets complicated and fascinating. We have hundreds of letters, diary entries, and first-hand accounts from soldiers describing the Christmas truce. British Captain Sir Edward Hulse wrote to his mother about German soldiers proposing a football match for the following day. Lieutenant Johannes Niemann of the 133rd Royal Saxon Regiment described watching British soldiers produce a football from God knows where. Rifleman Leslie Walkington of the Queen's Westminsters wrote, "The Germans formed up on one side, the English on the other. The ball was put in the center, and the kickoff took place." He claimed the game ended 3-2 in favor of the Germans, though he admitted the ball burst partway through, and these accounts vary wildly in detail, location, and scope. Some describe organized matches with makeshift goals. Others mention brief kickabouts lasting minutes. Some soldiers saw games. Others in the same regiment reported hearing about them secondhand. The Times of London published accounts in early 1915, but military censors had been suppressing stories about fraternization, meaning much of the evidence comes from personal correspondence that bypassed official channels. Dr. Taft Gillingham, a historian who spent years researching the truce, identified at least a dozen locations where soccer games likely occurred, ranging from brief, spontaneous kickabouts to more organized matches involving dozens of men. The most famous account comes from the Frelinghien sector near Armentières, where soldiers of the Royal Warwickshire Regiment reportedly played against Saxon troops. The uncomfortable truth war departments tried to bury. Here's what makes this story even more extraordinary. Military leadership on both sides were horrified by the Christmas truce. Think about it from their perspective. How do you send men back to killing each other after they've exchanged family photos, traded chocolate and cigars, and laughed together? How do you maintain the dehumanizing propaganda necessary for war when soldiers realize their enemies are teenage boys who miss their mothers and hate the war just as much as they do? British High Command issued strict orders prohibiting future fraternization, threatening courts-martial for anyone who repeated such behavior. German officers did the same. By 1915, both sides had rotated troops and ensured that artillery barrages kept soldiers firmly in their trenches during the holidays. Some accounts suggest officers fired on their own men when they attempted to recreate the truce in 1915. The powers that be wanted this story buried. They wanted soldiers to see enemies as inhuman, Yet the story survived in letters, diaries, and whispered memories precisely because it represented something precious. Proof that humanity could triumph, even briefly, over the machinery of war. Why the soccer detail matters. So much of all the elements of the Christmas truce, the singing, the gift exchanges, the joint burial services for the dead, the soccer games capture our imagination most powerfully. Why? Because soccer represents play, joy, the ordinary pleasures of civilian life. When we imagine soldiers playing soccer in no man's land, we're glimpsing a world where young men aren't pawns in a geopolitical nightmare, but simply human beings reclaiming a moment of normalcy in an insane situation. The soccer games, whether they were full matches or brief kickabouts, symbolize resistance against war's dehumanizing force. They represent the spontaneous eruption of our shared humanity through the cracks in institutional violence. British soldier Ernie Williams recalled, "The ball appeared from somewhere, I don't know where. They made up some goals and one fellow went in goal and then it was just a general kickabout. I should think there were a couple of hundred taking part." His account suggests organized chaos rather than a formal match, which frankly makes it more believable. The final whistle. So did soldiers really play soccer during the Christmas truce? The answer is a historian's favorite phrase. It's complicated. Yes, there is overwhelming evidence that spontaneous soccer games broke out in multiple locations along the Western Front on Christmas 1914. No, it wasn't the organized, referee-controlled match of legend, complete with scorekeeping and team uniforms. The truth lies somewhere between myth and reality. Impromptu kickabouts, varying in duration and organization, involving anywhere from a handful to hundreds of soldiers. But here's the deeper truth. The specific details matter less than what the Christmas truce represented. For a few precious hours or days, men chose humanity over hatred. They chose connection over violence. They proved that even in war's darkest hour, the human capacity for compassion and recognition of our shared humanity cannot be entirely extinguished. By January 1915, those same men were back to killing each other. The war would grind on for 4 more years, consuming millions more lives. The Western Front would become synonymous with industrial slaughter. Yet the memory of Christmas 1914 survived, a flicker of light in the darkness, a reminder that beneath the uniforms and propaganda, we're all just human. And whether the soccer ball was perfectly round or a bundle of rags tied with string, whether the game lasted 10 minutes or 2 hours, the men who played knew something their commanders desperately wanted to hide. The enemy was just like them. That truth was more dangerous than any weapon on the battlefield.